Podcast ini bisa disimak di kbrprime.id dan platform podcast lainnya.
Forward. Private war. It seems as though I was waiting for something else when adulthood came into view, making its way to me. Nothing else was coming in my direction, so I decided upon myself to act like I was acknowledging it. Sometimes, though, it did not feel like acting. Every so often, it was almost as though I had been waiting my entire life to be an adult, only to denounce it wholeheartedly. A rejection so unapologetic, strong enough to protect everything that I ever held dear in my life. I took way too much comfort in the feeling of being too old and too young at the same time. Spending my time gazing at other people, I wonder if they're just as lost as I am. During the day, the pleasures of getting lost becomes as apparent in cafes as the tears I have witnessed at bars during the night. From these stray observations, some of them seems like they are lucky enough to be able to maintain their carefully crafted identity, at least until some other time and place in life, but for the rest of them will have to reassign themselves, shedding the skin that once has provided them with the great protection, but now deemed useless and unnecessary, a lonely and disappointing process that forces them to feel every single twinge, a process that is so foreign but yet I am now too much unfamiliar with. I look forward to every time I can rest my eyes, but when the time finally comes, I just lay in bed all day, staring at the overwhelming vastness of the universe that seeps through my ceiling, getting lost in thought, getting lost in the world, getting lost in the self-dramatization of my own little life when I should be doing something that is far worthy of my time. Do not get me wrong. I am fully aware of the fact that I've been living on borrowed time, even if I don't act like it every now and then. But when the world is at war against myself, it is appropriate for me to be far away from reality, to recalibrate with myself before even considering to reconcile with the world for what it really is. At the luxury of being away, awakened within me is a deliberate freedom, inspiring me to do something with the compulsions that I've collected across the city that never sleeps. I just hope that sharing my good thoughts to the world is enough for now, especially when I'm still in bloom. So even though I'm not making much sense, my thoughts are not in any way stranger than what the earth has to offer. As I am only certain of my own uncertainties, I'm still trying to make this contribution to anyone who gives a shit. So may we try and figure it out all together at the other side of familiarity, because these are the pleasures and the terrors, my center stage, my public feelings. 26th November 2017.
Itu tadi bab pembuka Public Feeling and Other Acts yang dibaca langsung sang empunya buku Ray Shabir. Bareng Ray, saya bakal ngobrol perkara bukunya, internet, Lady Gaga, and everything else in between. Anda mendengarkan Love Buzz bersama saya, Asrul Dwi.
Love Buzz, membicarakan perkara yang tidak dibicarakan ketika berbicara perkara cinta.
Kalau di dalam buku kan ada satu bab khusus menulis soal pengalaman lihat konsernya Lady Gaga. Boleh cerita dulu gak sih soal itu?
Gue emang suka banget Lady Gaga dari SMA kali ya. Dari lama banget sih. Terus I got the chance to actually see her live when I was in that trip to America. And kayak lumayan perjalanannya, kalau udah baca juga kayak lumayan random kan. Karena kayak banyak ketemu orang-orang yang not necessarily close or basically acquaintances yang akhirnya ngebantu gue bisa nonton konser tersebut. Dan it was pretty interesting, so I decided to put it in the book.
Almost like you can really feel what you feel.
Right.
Boleh dideskripsikan gak sih?
It was surreal, see. Sometimes I still think about it and doesn't necessarily think it was true. I mean, I've been a fan of her since way back when, and I could just spend 3 hours talking about her. So to finally get to that places. Even in the book, when I get to the show, so ditulisnya tuh sebenarnya perjalanan sampai ke konsernya, tapi the concert itself, its images. Because it was pretty surreal and kind of magical, and I don't think I could write about something that's specific and special, so I decided to put visuals in it to make it more cinematic juga, because the book itself is very visual based kan, so I decided for the show part I put the images instead of describing it, because it was pretty undescribable for me personally.
Tapi apa sih yang bikin Ray demen banget sama Lady Gaga gitu?
Well, when she put... what was it? I think Bad Romance was the first thing that I listened to. My first reaction was, oh, this sounds nothing like what was on the radio. And then I start to, like, mulai dikepoin lah. And then she worked with a lot of photographers, a lot of fashion brands, and then a lot of artists. And she turned out to be the gateway for me to figure out a lot of creative people, di luar negeri sih anyway. And I think it was the gateway for me to actually, loving art and loving creativity and concept making. And because everything that she does is quite concept based, and there's a structure to it, and it's pretty fun to analyze itself. And she's really nice. Like, she's a really nice person. I mean, like, I become a fan, and I listen through like interviews of fans' reactions or like comments or when fan stories, and it was pretty like, whoa. And then the ideas that she stands up for is also like very empowering, very inclusive, and very, very warm.
Yeah. Sempat ketemu langsung?
Enggak, ya di konser itu aja sih.
Oh, tapi waktu itu kan dia sempat mau konser di Jakarta, tapi nggak jadi kan? Iya. Udah berniat nonton?
Udah, ngantri 9 jam. Di mana waktu itu FX apa?
Iya.
Kalau nggak salah ya.
Terus kemudian nggak jadi kan?
Iya, nggak jadi.
Ada ancaman.
Yeah, I was devastated. But then again, before it got canceled, she actually tweeted, "There's nothing holy about hatred," and I was like, "Oh shit, it's starting." Like, I had a feeling like, oh, it's not gonna happen.
Jakarta, lahir dan gede di Jakarta.
Yeah.
Dan kayaknya Ray punya semacam apa ya, love-hate relationship with Jakarta.
Doesn't
right?
Anybody? Everybody? Like, yeah, I mean, it's where your friends are, but then the place it's kind of dirty, is it? Asapnya kayak apa, the weather's like very hot or very, very humid, and garbage is everywhere. It's more like an infrastructure kind of thing, but the city itself is pretty fun. And I studied international school, and a lot of my friends were focusing on going to study abroad, and I thought that was what I was gonna do. And seeing, the lifestyle di sana kan beda banget kan, infrastrukturnya udah enak, terus communal placesnya udah legit, terus galerinya juga. Pokoknya semua aksesnya udah gampang lah. Tapi kayak lama-lama dilihat-lihat juga, especially when I went to New York and finally write that book, I realized that apa aja yang ada di sana sebenarnya di sini juga ada, because it's the people,
Berarti sekarang relationship dengan Jakarta kayak gimana?
Oh, we're okay, I guess.
Appreciate more.
Yeah. Nah, sebenarnya gue juga kerja kan, I have a 9 to 5, and I work like in a suburban area. Jadi Jakarta pinggir gitu, so I don't go out to the city as much unless to meet my friends. And whenever I go, this place is pretty far. I don't go here out often. I would go to like Kemang, like the downtown areas where my friends would hang out, and yeah, that's a very nice setting to chill in.
Sekarang kerja di?
Gue di biro desain, jadi admin di sana. But I take care of exhibitions and then correspondence for magazines.
Tapi sempat jadi model juga kan?
Yeah, still. Kind of. Kayak itu kayak side job aja sih. Because I'm not in an agency and I do it for fun. And it's lebih kayak, brands would sometimes contact me like I did with Rollover, which is pretty cool. It was last year, yeah. But like mostly I love doing test shoots with friends who are photographers or stylists or makeup artists. So it's just like, kids making art together, which is pretty cool. Dan ya seru-seru aja sih.
Dulu mengawalinya kayak gimana? Kalau model?
Ya itu test shoot itu sih, my friend decided to take a photos of me di kosan, because I started di Bandung kan dulu ya. And then it kind of snowballed into paying jobs. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Tapi sempat masuk agensi juga kan?
No, never.
Oh enggak?
Kurang tinggi. Which is I wrote about in the book.
Iya.
Yeah.
Modeling di Jakarta atau di Indonesia gitu cukup diverse nggak sih orang-orangnya?
I think it's getting better. I guess a lot of my friends are will probably fit into that diverse category. I have a friend who's also in the book, Hayati. She's in Persona, and she's now doing a movie, I think. And she's bald, and she doesn't, she doesn't fit in the type of conventional beauty. But diversity wasn't really a question to be asked here, I would say. Emang sih kayaknya brand banyak yang favor bule-bule juga sometimes, but I don't want to speak too much about it because I don't know the industry that well. But it's like, every brand needs to have different markets kan. But I do see like a lot of my friends that fits into the diverse category tadi is kind of striving.
Tadi kan juga sempat ngomong soal punya kedekatan terhadap seni gitu kan, sering ke galeri juga. Bikin buku sebenarnya apa sih yang awalnya gitu, idenya muncul dari mana bikin buku?
Sebenarnya ada orang Gramet yang nawarin gue bikin buku photography.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a photography book. Yeah, I like taking photos, tapi gue gak pede manggil gue photographer. Because I have friends who are actual photographers and they're really good at what they do.
Okay.
So I don't want to do that, but I don't want to write fiction at the time as well, so I decided to make a visual book with text, and it ended up being what it is. Dan itu pas banget gue ditawarin sebelum gue ke New York. So I went to New York. Well, it's a personal travel staycation kind of thing because I have family there. But I did go there with the intention of making a book, but that wasn't the checklist, you know what I mean? I'm just going to experience everything and not make everything about content, and then just milk everything and write a book from those experiences. So I had a friend who asked this, is this like, ini retrospektif nggak sih, ngeliat ke belakang nggak sih?
Yeah.
But to be honest, like a lot of, during the period of the time when I wrote the book, it was real time. Jadi it's like a period of time in my life where I catalyze it and freeze it into this book. It's kind of explosive in, you know, the way it's laid out and the photos, and also some of the writings are kind of quite raw. And so it was real time. It was as it was. Gitu.
Kayak sketchbook gitu sih sebenarnya.
Yeah, kind of like an idea book. Yeah. It is. It's like a box of shoes, and you have like your Polaroids or your ticket stub, and it's just like a box of shit, right? And you know, so that's basically it. I put like a lot of things that was stimulates me at the time and very personal to me at the time, and I put it in that book. And ini buku yang kayak gue kalau ntar udah tua ngeliat lagi kayak lucu gitu.
Tapi intentional. Sebenarnya dari awal memang direncanakan bentuk formatnya akan seperti ini.
Not necessarily.
Foto.
Kayak sebenarnya foto ya, maksudnya kayak let's make something fun. Dan kan gue di-publish sama KPG kan, Kepustakaan Populer Gramedia. And mereka juga kayak they're very excited when I pitch the book, because it's not necessarily a common book. Kayak mau dibilang, makanya it's public feelings and other acts kan, karena it's not in other stories, it's not in other poetries, because it's a lot of things, you know, that box of shit that I put. So the format itself, I tried to make something playful but real at the same time. There's one that's an actual CV, and there's one that's as a script, and there's a poetry, stories, and photo essays. So it's something playful. I wanted to make something kind of timely but also timeless in the same sense, because I think the general feeling of anxiety is a timeless sense, but I laid out it in a very timely visual world, the visual world that we live in now.
Anxiety kan jadi tema utama gitu kan. Kenapa sih itu yang kemudian diolah?
Well, because I don't see a lot of people talking about it, I think. Pas ditawarin bikin buku itu kan, I declined the offer to make a photography book, but I did pitch, I want to make something personal and real. And because that was the things that I was going through, you know, abis lulus mau kemana, and then how to find a job, and then, you know, like, especially on social media now, I think everybody is like, it's starting to becoming a thing. But it's like me seeing my friends on Instagram thinking they're killing it, but then pas ketemu kayak, oh my god, I feel so bad about this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so you were kind of like sama aja. And let's unpack that, I guess. And it was the general feeling of loss. That was very, I don't know. I think as a writer juga, you write something that you are going through with the hope of you resolving it in your life. So I'm going to write it so it doesn't exist anymore in my life, and I'm going to, like, you know, look deep down and find a solution on my own, and then put it in the book as a... So it was a very therapeutic thing for me to write. And gue gak pernah mikir yang... I know I wanted to be real, but I never decided, let's talk about anxiety, you know. It was always going to be that.
Was it hard to dig deep?
It is hard, and it is.
How's the process then?
Well, a lot of PTSDs. How's the process? Yeah, I just write it, and then kaya muntahan gitu, you know, you get inspired, and then you write it in your little notes, and you sketch it, or you take photos of it, and then you work days, weeks, months, years to present it the way you wanted to present it. A lot of the stories in the book are personal, but it's not necessarily real. Not all of them are real, because to me it was never the goal to replicate the exact scenarios, but I want to replicate the feeling of it. So I think that's how I process it. It gets kind of technical. Why is this essay put before this one? Why is it this one laid out in a different way? So it's me analyzing that. I don't know, kind of says something about me analyzing myself. I'm kind of like a self-conscious person to begin with, I guess. I check in with myself almost every day. And so it wasn't hard for me to... I don't know what the creative process is. I don't know. It's just like...
Sempat ngobrol sama orang soal how to lay out your own thought process or your feeling into your work, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you really need to be naked,
tanda
kutip gitu, in your work. Yeah. But for some artists, let's say, kadang ada yang dia nyari cara untuk deflecting ide tentang ketelanjangan itu ke dalam karyanya. Was it like that?
No, that wasn't how I did it. It was personal thoughts. It's the book is kind of crazy. Karena formatnya beda-beda dan layoutnya beda-beda, but it's my voice. And it wasn't until I finished the book I realized that people are going to read it. Because I wrote it for myself. I wrote it for myself, you know, as like a therapy session, or like for me to read it when I was like 50 years old or like 70 years old and look back to, and oh shit, somebody's gonna read this.
Was it scary though?
It was
dibaca orang gitu kan.
It was fun. It was fun. I try not to care about what other people say, like generally. And I think as you grow older, you kind of give less two shits about what other people say about you. But then seeing the reaction of the book was fun. Karena kayak semua orang has a different favorite chapter, and ada yang nangkep beda-beda. Somebody really loved the layout, somebody really loved the writing. So it's fun for me to see, and nggak ada yang tahu artinya. There's this one essay that I really love, not essay, but like a piece that I really love, and then I see somebody else, translate it a different way. That's pretty exciting to see, orang ngambil gimana gitu. And I guess I did leave a conscious. When I wrote it, I felt like if I had read this before, it would help me. So probably subconsciously, I did write it to give a space for the readers to put themselves in the stories or the essays or the feelings, Well, speaking of creative process, though, I don't know how I did it per essay, but I wrote the prologue, Private War, which is the intro of the book, to have a framework of what the book is going to be. And then the first thing that I did, I looked through my notes, and then I thought, topiknya gini. And then what I actually did was I did the depresi. Bikin skripsi. Yeah, I did the table of contents, because I like to think the first part of the book is me alone, and then the second part of the book is me with other people, and the third part of the book is me alone again. So it is structured. There is a rhythm to it. Cuman kayak itu tuh hal-hal yang mungkin gue doang yang peduli gitu, yang mungkin yang baca atau yang lihat juga they don't care, but it's like that's how I process like a journey. It's like I need to see like the beginning and the end, and then just fuck your way up in the middle,
Ada beberapa bagian on transmission. You're talking about
on
the internet,
social media,
social media, and then you also write about New York. Ada kesamaan di dalamnya sih kalau menurutku ya.
See, I didn't even think of that. see, that's what's fun of it.
Karena mungkin generally dua tulisan itu, New York dan on transmission.
Yeah.
New York penuh dengan orang, internet juga penuh dengan orang. Making like connection.
Well, that's why I went to New York in the first place. I just want to go to a place where nobody knows who I am, or nobody knows what my background is, or lo anak keberapa, atau lo teman siapa. It's like, karena New York is one of the most populated place in the world, and I realized that I'm privileged enough to go there because not everybody can go there. That's why I wrote the book with a New York feel. Like this is what I get from that particular journey. So the book itself is not a travel journey, but it is actually about that. And if you look through the essays, it's a lot of it, because I did the launch and I called it Gallery of Anxiety, people thought my first initial intention with the book is talking about anxiety, which it is, but loneliness was actually the thematic, the big picture of the whole book. It's the loneliness at a party, I wrote in Nighttime Attitudes. The loneliness, in general feeling of loneliness, I wrote in Cottonmouth. Loneliness in social media, it's on Transmission. And then loneliness of feeling that you won't be as great as the people you admire, that's in Gallery of Anxiety. And so loneliness was I think the beating heart of the book, and I did choose New York exactly that. Mungkin kalau gua ke Italia atau ke Jepang atau apa, bukunya probably will be different, and probably will. I mean, it's about my life, right? It's about my core life crisis, but I choose loneliness as the lens to see it from. But if I go to other places, or if I missed, if my schedule are different and my experience what I had in New York was different, probably the book would have a different lens, and the vibe will be very, very different. So,
kenapa New York sih tapi?
Well, I have family there, so it's cost friendly. And it's New York. I mean, it's wherever you go, it's like a movie, and it's so the art community there is very amazing, from the high ends like the Met Museum or the Renaissance Art, and the low rows like small galleries in Brooklyn. It's very exciting, and I have friends there as well. Ada yang lagi LPDP, ada yang emang tinggal di sana, photographer, ada yang baru kenal. Terus, it's I don't know, eyes were always set to New York. But mostly because I have family there.
Proses itu ngebantu nggak sih untuk dealing with loneliness at that time?
Yeah, and what I get is that if you're sad here, you're gonna be sad anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, if you're lonely here, you're gonna be lonely anywhere. It's not the place, it's not the people, it's you. So I had to dig deep into myself to, figure it out, and then express it and milk it, diperes gitu, and then that's like how the book actually.
Sebenarnya agak ironis nggak sih, butuh perjalanan yang cukup jauh gitu untuk ketemu itu. I mean, literally.
Dan mahal, and it's well, I mean, I saved up to go there. It's not like let's go there. It's not that I actually saved up to go there, but I actually am glad to go. I don't think I have that realization if I'm stuck here. It was a very transitional period of my life. It was abis lulus nggak tahu mau ngapain dan bla bla bla, dan gue alhamdulillah bisa ke sana, jadi okay, why the hell not.
Berapa lama waktu itu tinggal di sana?
2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, my family is there, and then I couch surf from my friends' apartments. And yeah, lumayan lama sih. That's why I just live there for a little bit.
Yeah, to get lost is a great way to find yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Orang Indonesia, mungkin cowok-cowok Indonesia agak nggak terbiasa, mungkin nggak cuma di Indonesia, laki-laki agak susah untuk ngomong soal perasaannya gitu.
Right.
Lu termasuk orang yang kayak gitu nggak?
No. Did you read the book? It's called Public Feelings.
I mean, I don't know.
No. I mean, sometimes it's hard to untangle. Kayak gua nggak pernah takut I'm feeling shitty right now. Cuman it does take me time to process it, to actually, ini tuh like kayak benang kusut. Yeah, it takes a while to untangle and this is why, or this is what I'm feeling. But I never shy away from it because it is a strength to me. It is your hindsight is a gift. You know what I mean? Being sensitive or being sensible, I guess, is kind of respecting yourself and will respect other people as well. Treat people how you want to be treated. I don't know. That is also like comes in mind when I think about feelings and personal turmoils. So.
Tapi kalau sekarang masih merasa sendiri atau?
Well, yes and no. You're always lonely. I mean, but I thrive in it. I don't know. I'm not romanticizing it. It's not the greatest feeling, but I don't think about that anymore, I guess. Unless asked.
You just live.
Yeah, I just live it, you know. I think gratitude is also like a nice way to relieve yourself from that feeling. I have great friends. I have amazing family. I work in a really nice place, and just living through life and be grateful for what you have. I guess that's the takeaway. My takeaway, at least.
Perasaan kayak gitu nggak akan pergi begitu saja kan kalau memang.
And you get lonely for different reasons. You got lonely because you're single. You got lonely because your friends doesn't get you. You feel lonely because your parents doesn't understand you. You feel lonely because you don't feel like you have a friend in the office, or it's different specific reasons, and it's just it's always healthy to be able to be honest about it. Kayak yang tadi lo bilang soal orang-orang ngelakuin feeling mereka, because then you get to know what's your next step is, and it needs to be resolved, but you're the only one who can do it. So it is a process, for me.
Dan ada butuh proses yang lainnya kan untuk mengenali perasaan itu.
What do you mean?
Mungkin nggak semua orang nyadar kan kalau mereka sebenarnya ngerasakan itu. Gitu.
Yeah. But then check in with yourself. I guess that's like the most important thing is you check in with yourself and you do stuff that makes you happy without being hedonistic atau escapist. But be honest with yourself. I think that's like the most important thing. And talk about it. I mean, it's not an easy feeling when you're stuck with that alone, but then kalau mungkin ngomong sama teman-teman dekat, probably they go through the same thing and you can support each other in that sense. So, yeah, be open up to it. But gak bisa kalau misalnya nggak ngakuin ke diri sendiri dulu. Jadi, honesty is always the best policy.
Tapi pertanyaan-pertanyaan kayak gimana sih yang biasa Ray tanyakan ke diri sendiri mungkin?
I write about it.
Yeah.
I don't do like an interview like that with myself. Udah langsung moodnya tuh langsung I feel blah 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 blah. Why did this happen, or did this person mean something blah 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 blah. And then if there is a problem that I could solve almost immediately, I would address it to that person, or I would try to fix it if it's like a personal, like yang cuman gue doang ngalamin. But I don't necessarily ask myself questions. Karena proses orang-orang juga beda kan.
Yeah.
And then cerita sih, I recharge by telling stories to friends, so I call people, and I have this friend named Jessie, and I dedicated Cotton Mouth, which is about loneliness, to her. She's in Australia now, and we're very different, but we get each other. And I call her most of the time, and I would tell stories, what happened, blah 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 blah, and then she would like be a mirror to me, like, but what do you feel when you say this? What do you mean when this happened? What do you need from this person, or what do you want basically out of this? And it's kind of that person becomes my interviewer.
Okay.
And we deduce the problem together, and I do the same thing for her. So we kind of challenge each other to get the answer we want it. No, we want it. We need it. So.
Kan buku ini kemarin ditulis mungkin yang jadi latar kalau waktunya pas lulus kuliah gitu kan. Kalau diibaratkan perjalanan gitu. Kalau sekarang ketemu jalan yang kayak gimana sih gitu?
Jalan I don't know. I mean, I can't, because it's not. Ini tuh bukan buku. The funniest thing is when it first came to the store, it got into the self-help section. And then ada yang juga masuk ke law, because I think the word public is in it, and the cover is like a head of a it could be like very political. So I got into law, but then it made itself to the self-help section. But it's not me trying to give you tips. It's not me trying to, ini lo, gini lo. It's just me sharing my story. And then I have people that came to me and shared their stories. And it becomes a dialogue. And I have a person who ended up being a friend that DM'd me about the book, and we chat, and we are actually friends now, I guess, because we communicate about, just like daily life problems, and I try to listen what she has to say, and I don't know, there is a solution to it. I don't know what I'm talking about. But now I can say that I'm more together. I just, live my day. I'm trying to make a routine every morning, and I'm developing a routine, and I'm writing my next one, which is going to be very different. I'm going to be talking about a different topic as well, so I'm very excited about that. Same format? No.
Okay.
No. It's going to be, I think, different. But it's the same voice.
Ngatasin kesendirian, mungkin tadi bilang ngubungin temen, bisa. Tapi mungkin beberapa orang juga penyelesaian itu justru ada di dalam diri sendiri kan. Dan itu kan susah untuk nemuinnya gitu.
Well, there is a thing as loneliness, di mana lo merasa sendiri, and it's sad, and it's bad, and it's negative. But there's also solitude, where you thrive. Aloneness. My friend Ishana wrote about aloneness in her book, I Am My Own Home. It's claiming that narrative that I'm alone but I thrive in it, which I kind of get, because you get to know yourself and you know where your weaknesses are, you know where your strengths are, and you claim that aloneness, your identity, your sense of value to yourself, and that will help you back yourself up facing the world. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess the key is always, to me, it's always honesty. As bad as it is, as good as it is, you take a checkpoint and see yourself as you are.
Di blog Ray juga ada tulisan kayak gini. When I was feeling lost, it was so important to me that I wasn't at my own home. Boleh dijelasin maksudnya?
Did I write that?
Yeah.
I was, home meaning Jakarta, I think, when I wrote it. And it's important for me to be away from that place. I think it's also me testing my own limit, who I am in the midst of all these strangers, who I am in this strange place. Gue di tempat yang gak tahu gue siapa, and I have this freedom, but then that freedom doesn't always lead to the best thoughts, because, as you grow older, you can do literally anything in life, right? That's the beauty of it. But then it's also, you can do anything in life, and it's overwhelming, And me spending my time in New York is a testament to that. Me trying to figure out who I am without all these factors that you write in a CV or you write in a biography, but who I am, existentially as a person, who I am without all these things that I don't necessarily choose. Juga sometimes, like you don't choose the family you're born in, and who I am as a singular identity. And it is important for me to get out of my comfort zone, because Jakarta is also a part of my identity. I was born and raised here. My friends are all here. And who I am, stripping all that away and getting lost in that, and then eventually finding yourself in that.
Membebaskan diri tapi ngasih batasan juga nggak sih?
Batasannya jadi tercipta malah menurut gue.
Naturally.
I think it's, pasti kayak lo udah punya sense lo tuh siapa, lo maunya apa, pasti mungkin udah ada, but then it's also di-challenge dan di-define as you experience more stuff.
Hal-hal kayak gimana sih yang kemudian ditemukan waktu di New York gitu?
I always thought it was the place. That's why I decided to went there. It was the place. But then I figured out that, my friends there aren't exactly as happy as I thought they are. And then even like my family, my uncle there, I think he misses home juga, because he was there for 40 years. And it's not, you're missing the point. That's what I thought to myself. You're missing the point. It's not the parks or the museums or the people or the fashion or the blah, blah, blah. It's human condition by the end of the day, and it's, if you're sad, it's not my own. That's because when I said, if you're going to be sad, you're going to be sad anywhere, it's not when I see myself, it's also when I see these other people. They're happy, but could be happier, you know what I mean? And that kind of hit me. And then also meeting new people. That was really fun. Like the guy that gave me that sold me his tickets to watch Gaga, that was pretty surreal. He actually came down to, the show was in Washington, he actually came down from New York to give me his credit card because I had to show him his credit card to get in. Because he's
amazing story.
I know, that was like, it was, I think it's also karena sama-sama fans kan, there's that trust. And then that was like, whoa. It was also like, I think the title of Public Feelings I decided to put for that essay, it's because that's also kind of like, it's not necessarily about, in the book I wrote about like the public giving feelings of hate, which is what happens when she cancelled her show here, but then the public also give feelings of love and kindness in stranger situations, which is, I can't imagine myself ever finding anywhere, and it happened.
Nyoba hal-hal yang baru juga gak sih pas di
sana? I did, but I can't really say.
I mean, like,
on a public radio. Yeah, I mean, there is some stuff that went down.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun, but I can't really say.
Takut didengerin orang tua ya.
But I did go meet a friend online who I've never met before, like Reina in Washington, and Denisa. She took a photo of me, and I put 2 photos of her in it. We met here in Jakarta. Turns out, because it was I was partying, so I couldn't remember that we introduced ourselves. So I met Reina before I watched Gaga because she lives in Washington, and I stayed over at her place. And then after the show, I met Denisa, which is the photographer and artist. She's in Canada now, studying, but I met her in Albany in her home. 2 of them I've never actually known, and sleeping in a stranger's place, basically. It was pretty, like, I've never done that before.
Writing atau bikin artwork apapun lah itu bentuknya, itu bisa jadi semacam soft track juga sih.
It is, I guess. I get what you mean. It is a release, right? It is an experience.
Yeah.
Like the way you see movies or hear music for the first time, it also is an experience, and it could be that. But it's not like damaging to your health.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because to me, art is therapeutic, and reflective for my own. And me being happy and writing something about it doesn't mean it's gonna be worse than me feeling sad and writing about it. It's just 2 very opposite human experiences that I talk about. And I don't like that notion. It's romanticizing this idea of a crazy artist, of a star. You know, you need to be sad to make art, or you need to be sad to feel you're alive.
But I think a lot of younger artists see their own process or method in that way. They need to be sad and heartbreak.
Because it is delicious, isn't it? It's delicious to talk about. It's delicious to be in it. It's delicious to be in the rock bottom sometimes. But then what? You know, there's nowhere else to go up. So you better turn your head the other way and start respecting yourself and loving yourself and be not sad anymore in a healthy way. I don't believe that artists should be sad to create stuff.
Dan itu jadi masalah kan sebenarnya kalau kita ngomong soal mental health issue gitu kan.
I mean, like, to be honest, whenever I feel sad, I wrote a little paragraph about it or like a poetry about it, but then I shut the book, and then when I'm feeling happier, I look back into it and then work on it. Is this what I actually want to say, or is this what I want to print out to the world, or this what I want to publish my next one? Because sometimes there is such a thing of being sad, and then you don't want to, like, say you watch like a sad movie, but then you go out of the theater, you want to do something better with your life. But there are some stuff that are just sad for the sake of sadness, and that doesn't make you feel good. It makes you even worse. It makes you feel even worse, and that's not what I'm about. That's not what there is a responsibility when you talk about sadness and when you talk about mental health. There is such a thing as romanticizing the mental health issues. There is such a thing as romanticizing sadness, as I've mentioned before, and I just don't want to, I try as much not to do that in a way, but still being able to get personal with the readers or the audience or whoever I'm talking to. Even like myself, I self-edit a lot of my own writings. Yeah, like I said, is this what I really want to write about? Is this what I want to remember when we call back? And if the answer is no, I don't do it. I don't publish it. And I don't even save it, I erase it.
Pertanyaan-pertanyaan semacam itu juga ada di buku juga kan? Di On Transmission juga ada kan pertanyaan-pertanyaan semacam itu. Bakalan dibaca orang atau enggak.
Yeah, but that's like me on social media. That's me not criticizing, but I guess talking about social media and talking about fishing for help through social media and connection, which is, you know, I've met a lot of my friends now I've found through social media, but then a lot of it doesn't really go anywhere. Juga at the same time, you express yourself and you got a lot of like condolences and pray for you, I'm like there for you, but they're not really. I don't know. It's me being cynical looking at it. I don't find most of the time talking about it publicly help anyone. It's just a content by the end of the day. If I really want to help, I call that friend. I call that person. I went to someone's house and talk about it. It's not always for the best reasons unless again a hopeful way. Hey guys, I've went through this. This is how I got over it, and then that narrative is constructed to a better way. It's constructed to a more peaceful way, which is again the goal, isn't it? But then being sad just for the sake of sadness, and this is what I am. This is blah blah blah. It's not. It's just
artificial.
I don't want to say artificial, but it's irrelevant to me. You want to be sad and write about it, put it in a journal. That's how I do it anyway. I'm not telling anyone how to do it or what to do with it, but it's a bit tricky, dangerous. Because again, you put something out in the universe online, you don't always get the best feedback juga. It's not always nice to be the person that they talked about, oh, Ray is feeling sad. Yeah, but most of them doesn't actually let's make him feel better. Not that I need them to anyway. That's why I don't post.
Tapi sempat di fase itu juga kan? Gitu.
Oh, dulu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote about it. I wrote about stuff in my life. I blogged before Instagram was a thing, and my blog wasn't, a big deal. Juga was just there for me to write, and it was such a nice exercise. And I took it down. I still have the essays, so it's nice to, one of the writings in the book, like Hero, that poetry I actually wrote, and I put it up in my blog years ago, and then I decided to remix it for a little bit, like not remix it, but repackage it in a handwritten presentation, and I put it in the book, because that was written when I was in New York 2013, years ago, and I was like, oh, let's put that and put it here, because it's still relevant. And unfiltered, yeah, I guess I am a little bit. I try as honest as possible. I try to be as honest as possible, because then because then I don't have to. When you lie, you have to remember what you've said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to do that. So yeah, it was never a question to me to be unfiltered. And to me, being unfiltered shouldn't be talking about explicit stuff or being as raunchy as possible. That is unfiltered, but it's not my kind of way of present. It's not my language, I would say.
Next project?
Too early to tell. I mean, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be more stable, I would say. If this book is like me dancing like no one's watching, Public Feelings, this next one is me like dancing like everybody's watching. So that's like, I think, the vibe that I'm going for. But I don't think it's gonna be visual though. It's gonna have less images, but way less. So, yeah, because I want to strip it back to the writing, I guess.
What is love to you?
Love? What is love to me? Fuck. It's a power.
Okay.
It's a force. It's a force of nature. It's how you communicate with people. It's how you see the world, how you survive. It's all you need is love. It's a force of nature. Yeah. That was very lame.
Kalau punya saran, komentar, atau ingin berbagi cerita, boleh banget email ke podcast@kbrprime.id dan tulis love buzz untuk subjek emailnya. Stres, depresi, kecemasan, kesepian, atau kesedihan bahkan adalah macam perasaan yang biasa dialami dan menghinggapi manusia, nggak peduli apapun gendernya. Macam cara untuk mengatasi atau menghadapi itu juga banyak. Sebagian orang mungkin mengakhiri kesedihan dengan menangis. Lainnya mengatasi atau menghadapi kecemasan dan kesepian dengan menulis atau bikin karya yang lainnya. Dan itu bukan berarti kita jadi orang yang lemah, sadar, dan mengakui kalau kita merasakan hal-hal semacam itu. Menurut saya sih adalah sebuah kejujuran. Jujur kan juga nggak mesti mempertimbangkan gender.
Love Buzz, membicarakan perkara yang tidak dibicarakan ketika berbicara perkara cinta.
Kunjungi kbrprime.id untuk menyimak beragam podcast lainnya dari KBR.